The managed hosting exit of 2026 is here. For years, agencies have relied on platforms like Pantheon to handle the complexity of web hosting. But that convenience has come at a steep price. Compressed margins, rising per-site costs, and limited control are pushing agencies to rethink their infrastructure strategy. In this presentation, we will show you how moving from managed hosting to a cloud-native model with AWS and DevPanel can dramatically recover your margin and put you back in control. Let's start with the core problem. Traditional managed hosting and cloud-native infrastructure represent two fundamentally different cost models. With managed hosting, you're paying a premium for convenience, but as your client portfolio grows, so does your bill. Cloud-native infrastructure flips this equation: lower unit costs, more flexibility, and margins that actually improve at scale. Agencies making this shift are seeing hosting cost reductions of 60 to 80%, translating directly to recovered profit. The per-site pricing trap is one of the biggest margin killers in the agency world. Every new client site added to a managed platform like Pantheon means another fixed monthly fee, and those fees add up fast. At 10 sites, it is manageable. At 50 sites, you are losing margin rapidly. Cloud ownership changes the game entirely. Instead of paying per site, you are paying for compute and storage at cloud rates, where unit costs drop as volume increases. The math becomes very compelling very quickly. So, what are your options? Agencies evaluating a managed hosting exit have three main paths. First, staying on Pantheon, the status quo, with known costs but continued margin pressure. Second, moving to raw AWS, significant cost savings, but substantial operational complexity you must manage yourself. Third, AWS combined with DevPanel, the hybrid path that delivers cloud economics without the operational burden. Each path has distinct trade-offs, and we will break them down so you can make the right call for your agency. Let's talk about raw AWS. The appeal is obvious. You can cut hosting costs by 60% or more. But the hidden cost is operational readiness. Running raw AWS means your team is now responsible for security monitoring, patching, incident response, uptime guarantees, and workflow tooling. For most agencies, this gap between cost savings and operational complexity is a deal breaker, unless you have a dedicated DevOps team. Without the right orchestration layer, raw AWS can create more problems than it solves. That is exactly where the AWS plus DevPanel model shines. DevPanel sits on top of your AWS infrastructure as an orchestration and control plane, handling operational complexity so your team does not have to. You get managed hosting-style simplicity with cloud-native economics. Features include automated deployments, security hardening, monitoring, staging environments, Git integration, and multi-site management, all without the per-site pricing penalty. It is the best of both worlds: infrastructure you own, operations you control, and margins you recover. Let's look at the numbers side by side. Comparing Pantheon to AWS plus DevPanel across different website profiles, the margin recovery is significant. For a standard WordPress site, agencies typically pay $200 to $500 per month on Pantheon. The same site on AWS plus DevPanel runs at $40 to $80 per month. That is a margin recovery of 60 to 80% per site. Multiply that across your entire portfolio, and the business case becomes undeniable. Lower costs, more control, better performance, and real scalability. Here is a concrete example. Take an agency with a 25-site hosting portfolio currently on Pantheon. At an average of $300 per site per month, that is $7,500 monthly in hosting costs. Moving to AWS plus DevPanel brings that to roughly $1,500 per month. That is $6,000 in recovered margin every single month, or $72,000 annually. That is money that can go back into your team, your services, and your growth. DevPanel closes the operational gap that makes raw AWS impractical for most agencies. It integrates directly with your development workflow, Git push to deploy, automated pipelines, environment management, and WordPress-specific tooling all built in. Security patching, uptime monitoring, and incident alerting are handled automatically. Your developers work in a familiar, streamlined environment, while the infrastructure scales beneath them. The result is faster delivery, fewer emergencies, and dramatically lower operational overhead. The margin pressure is real across every vertical. Whether you are serving healthcare and education clients with strict compliance requirements, government and nonprofit organizations with tight budgets, or enterprise clients demanding high availability, the story is the same. Managed hosting margins are being squeezed from every direction. AWS plus DevPanel as your control plane gives you the flexibility to serve all of these verticals profitably, with the security and reliability they require. So how do you actually make the move? The 2026 Exit Playbook lays out a clear 5-step migration path. Step 1. Audit your current portfolio and identify your highest cost sites. Step 2. Provision your AWS environment and configure DevPanel as your control plane. Step 3. Migrate sites in batches, starting with lower-risk clients. Step 4. Standardize your development and deployment workflows on the new platform. Step 5. Reallocate recovered margin into growth. Agencies following this playbook are recovering margin within 90 days and achieving full migration within 6 months. The bottom line is clear. AWS plus DevPanel gives you a combined control platform that reduces hosting expenses by 75 to 80% while giving you full ownership of your infrastructure. Automation, security, support, and control, all under one roof. The managed hosting exit of 2026 is not just a cost-cutting exercise. It is a strategic shift that positions your agency for sustainable, scalable growth. The question is not whether to make the move, it is how fast you can get there. Let's talk about your migration path today.